Hi, I'm Zibby from thezibbyshow.com, and I'm so thrilled that Game of Thrones is back. And this is unfortunately the last season of Game of Thrones, and I decided it would be nice to do a review. Now, just in case you're wondering what this is actually from a city in Ireland. So these rocks are actually from the seaside in the real life city that represents Dragonstone. I collected these rocks and I'm so thrilled about it. So I've got a piece of Game of Thrones, a piece of the Seven Kingdoms right here in my home. Well, anyways, let's get straight into it. I'm here to do the episode 4 review and there will be spoilers. That's a disclaimer. All right, let's get into it. So the Night King has been killed by Arya Stark. What do we say to the god of death? Not today. And all that happened in episode 3, which is really, really good. The scene starts off, the episode starts on a very sad note. We see Ser Jorah, Daenerys is, leaning over his body. And it was really sad to see Lyanna Mormont as well. Ser Jorah, Lyanna Mormont, Ed Tollett, Dolores Ed, who was the king of the Night Watch after Jon Snow handed over to him. Even Euron Greyjoy is dead as well. And they have these big funeral where the bodies are burned according to their traditions. And you know what? They're being careful this time. I still think it was a bit ridiculous that the old Northmen didn't burn the bodies in the crypt. Because, I mean, they knew about the Night King. They had the powerful magic. They had the Night Watch and, Castle Black and everything else. You would think they would know that in Winterfell, no one should be buried just in case the Night King found his way. Well, anyways, this time they burnt all the bodies, which is really good. It does seem like Arya has kind of grown, and I don't know if I really like the way Arya's character is going. We've always known Arya as, the battle-ready girl. She has a lot of fire, a lot of spirit, and all of a sudden Gendry is proposing to marry Arya. Like, dude, you hadn't seen Arya in years. Now, we're not too sure how much time has passed, but it's got to be at least 6 years. You haven't seen Arya in all that time, yeah? And, you guys have a one-night stand, and all of a sudden you're in love with Arya. Like, it's really, really weird. I don't really understand what's going on. But Arya says I'm not a lady, and Arya's always said that from the beginning. So that's some consistent behavior from Arya. But I don't know if I really like the whole Gendry proposing. I find it weird. And I don't even know where the heck was Gendry when that battle was going on. It's also a miracle, though, that none of the major characters actually lost their lives in that battle. Arya survived, thanks to Beric Dondarrion. Samuel Tarly survives, which I think, I can't stand Samuel Tarly at this point. He's just, he should have died. Okay, so Gendry has become the Lord of Storm's End. Of course, Daenerys shows that she has her ulterior motives for that. Brienne of Tarth finally gets a chance to, and it's with Jaime. I don't know. I'm just hoping that Brienne is not fooling herself into thinking Jaime loves her. The only woman that Jaime loves and probably will ever love in his entire life is Cersei. I think she's probably the only woman that he's ever been with. So yeah, there is a very strong bond, which is weird. But you have to give it up to Brienne, though. I mean, after years of being taunted, called Brienne the ugly and all that, she basically bags the hottest man in King's Landing. So good for her. Okay, Lord Varys is up to something. We know Varys is one of the most scheming, deceptive people, almost as bad as Littlefinger, to be honest. But when Dany seems to be getting jealous with the attention that Jon Snow is getting. She realizes that Jon Snow basically is competition to her sitting on the throne, and I'm beginning to not be able to stand her. To be honest, she's not one of my favorite characters, but she does feel very entitled. Like, the Seven Kingdoms belong to her. Like, girl, blah. Yeah. So, they have a conversation. Dany and Jon Snow have a conversation. Or should we call him Aegon at this point? Aegon Targaryen. So, Dany and Aegon Jon Targaryen Snow have a conversation. And he's obviously bothered about the fact that there is some incest going on. He's from the north. And in the north, such things are weird. But in King's Landing, it's not really a problem. The Targaryens have been incestuous for years, which is weird, but it's not really a problem for her. And she's begging him, like, don't tell anyone. And she says, I've never begged for anything in my life. But that's a lie. Because flashback to season 1, Dany actually did beg her brother, her crazy brother. I think his name was Viserys. I can't remember his name now. But she did beg him not to give her in marriage to Khal Drogo. So, Dany, you lied. Dany definitely is a bit power drunk and can some dragon just eat her up? Oh, and then there's the scene where Rhaegon, actually the dragon, who now sees Jon Snow as his master, she's coming to pet him and have some bonding time, but he flies away. Like, he can't be bothered with her because his allegiance is to Jon Snow. But the weird thing is, something happens later on in that episode. I really can't stand Bran. He's so annoyed. He's the three-eyed raven who's supposed to know everything. And I still don't really understand how Bran became the three-eyed raven. Hodor! Oh gosh, I love Hodor. That was one of the really, really sad scenes in that movie. You know, for a while, every time someone says, open the door, hold the door, I would say, Hodor. I know, it's crazy. But anyways, Bran is really annoying because it does seem like he knows everything, but he's not saying anything. Or maybe he just doesn't know everything, but thinks he knows everything. I don't really know what's going on with Bran or the three-eyed raven, or whatever name he goes by these days. But I think sellswords are people with no allegiance, no loyalties, just horrible people. I don't know how Sir Bronn, of course maybe Winterfell is broken, but it's amazing how Sir Bronn penetrates Winterfell and gets straight to where Jaime Lannister and Tyrion Lannister are seated and slams Tyrion's face, and basically he is being pledged Riverrun because they're trying to save his life. Brendan Tully, which is Jon's uncle, or Arya's uncle, is still in captivity somewhere because he had to hand over the Blackfish or something. That was some seasons ago. It's also very emotional where Tormund Giantsbane reveals that he's going back with the rest of the Free Folk. I mean, we've gotten so used to seeing Tormund Giantsbane. He's such a wild, loving character. He's heartbroken, by the way, because he knows that Jaime has taken Brienne from him. But he's such a sweet character, and I don't really want him to leave Winterfell. So he's going back to be a Free Folk, or as the Northmen would call it, a wildling. By the way, Samuel Tarly has knocked Ginny up. So yeah, he's got a wildling girlfriend as well. a wildling baby mama. And then, you know, something is very significant. Now we see Jon Snow's direwolf, and we understand why Jon Snow's direwolf was white. You know, the Targaryens have the, you know, silver white hair, just like Dany and her brother and the Mad King. And so it makes so much sense now, because if you flash back to season 1, when they found the direwolves, all the others were black and they represented the Stark children. But the last one, which they didn't even realize was there, was the one that was pure white, and they thought it was like an albino direwolf or something. But he was just white. He was meant to be Jon Snow's protector, and Jon Snow basically hands him over to Tormund, and the direwolf is really, really sad. I can understand that. I hope we see Nymeria again. Nymeria is Arya's direwolf, because those direwolves are part of the story. Once I first realized how cruel King's Landing could be was when her direwolf was murdered after Nymeria had attacked Joffrey, the evil king. Oh my days. Joffrey's death has to be one of the best scenes in Game of Thrones. Best scenes ever. One of the best. Okay, now Lord Varys and Tyrion are having a conversation, and they have realized that Dany is not going to be a great queen or king or whatever. She's power drunk, she's crazy, and she is not very rational. It's funny though, because they realize that Jon Snow would be a better king, and he's a man, so he's more likely to be accepted. But they can't really say this outside the both of them, but it's the truth. And when you think about it, Dany is, she bears the Mad King's DNA, so yeah, she's gonna be crazy. Never really liked Dany's character much. Sansa and Arya though, smart ladies. I think Sansa has to be the most strategic person right now in Game of Thrones. All the years of being in King's Landing and learning at Cersei's feet, ooh, definitely taught Sansa a lot. She learned, and like she said to the Hound, if John Bolton and Theon and all that didn't happen, Littlefinger, she probably would have still been a little bird. So she's very smart. She's very, very strategic. So Jaime Lannister, I said this, Jaime Lannister has realized that there's going to be war and Cersei could die. So Jaime Lannister runs out in the night leaving Brienne. And Brienne is crying like she's heartbroken. It's like, Brienne, shut up. You're a warrior. You're like 6'7" or something. You know, just because you had a one-night stand with Jaime Lannister, why are you sobbing your heart out? Like, girl, just keep it moving. And she's heartbroken. Jaime never loved you. Jaime will only ever love Cersei Lannister. And he goes to King's Landing to try to protect her. Now, the sad part is Missandei is killed. Yeah. There's an attack on the fleet, on Dany's fleet. It's coming from Euron Greyjoy, and Missandei is kidnapped or abducted. Rhaegar, which is Jon Snow's dragon, is shot dead. He dies, he falls in the river. But I'm hoping by some miracle, maybe there's like a little dragon glass cave underwater where he survives, because I think it's unfair to leave Jon Snow without a dragon right now. But they walk to the King's Landing gates and they tell Cersei to surrender. Tyrion, who is the hand of the king, Dany, meets with the evil poisoner, who is Cersei's hand. And, you know, when he's not getting any further with the guy, he goes up to Cersei and it's like, surrender and release Missandei. And I knew Cersei would not surrender. Cersei crying, no man, Cersei's evil. So Cersei basically says to Missandei, say your last prayers. And Missandei says Dracarys, and Dracarys means basically like consume. I think that's one of Dany's instructions to her dragons. And man, the Mountain. The Mountain is one of the most horrible individuals in King's Landing. And the Mountain basically lops Missandei's head off and she falls over the city walls. And Dany is mad, and Dany turns around. So there's going to be bloodshed. But at this point, Sansa had tried to warn Jon and Dany, look, your troops are tired. They're battle weary. They need time to recover. Dany, because she's not rational, just like the Mad King, wasn't thinking, and there is no way on earth that her battle-weary troops can actually fight and conquer the Lannisters and take King's Landing. Even her dragons are tired. The dragons were barely eating while they were in the north, so it's really weird. We're going to see how that goes. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. I like Cersei. She's evil. And I love Sansa. I love Arya. And by the way, I still think Jaqen Hagar, who's the faceless man of Braavos, and Syrio Forel, who was Arya's first dancing instructor from Braavos, are the same person. I think they're the same person. You know, as the faceless men of Braavos, they can change their looks at any time. We don't know if Syrio Forel died, but he was too fine a swordsman to be defeated by someone like Meryn Trant, you know, in season 1. So that's it, my review of Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I did say there are spoilers, so please don't cuss me out. See you later. And by the way, these lovely rocks are from a beautiful place in Sweden called Skåne. I will see you next week for Episode 5, Game of Thrones. Please tweet at President Zibby. See you next week.